Liverpool are knocked out of the FA Cup by none other than Plymouth Argyle, who currently sit in last place of the championship. And before I upset the Liverpool fans who came in here to say that this was their B team and the FA Cup doesn't really matter, especially when they're fighting to win the Prem and the Champions League, let me calm you guys down a little bit. This isn't going to be a misleading analysis where I make it seem like Plymouth had the upset of the century. The truth is that it wasn't really that much of an upset. Liverpool probably should have won, but when you factor everything in, you can see how there was a good chance that Plymouth Argyle would get through to the next round. And before I dive into the tactical analysis, there's one question that Arne Slot had to answer before the start of this match. How important is the FA Cup and how big of a risk do we want to take against our Premier League and Champions League hopes? And the truth is that judging by his player selection, he didn't find this match very important. And I'm not saying that he wanted to purposely lose, but I think this match served two purposes. Let the big timers stay home and be well rested for their upcoming Premier League matches against Everton and Wolves, which are only a few days apart, and also give the opportunity to a lot of the players who haven't played much and who are younger trying to break into the first team. The fact that he not only didn't start Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Cody Gakpo, Konate, McAllister, Gravenberg, Soboslai, Robertson, and I'm sure I missed a couple, but the fact that he didn't just bench them, they actually didn't travel at all. So if things got difficult, he wouldn't be able to sub them in to win the game. That's the part that interests me. It leads me to believe that Arne Slot thought it may be better to be in one less competition this season for Liverpool's chances of winning the Prem and the Champions League. And obviously considering they're in the final of the Carabao Cup as well. Arne Slot is a smart guy. He wouldn't have left all these guys at home if he cared a lot about moving on to the next round, which is okay. I think we'll see if it pays off in the end, because if it does, nobody's going to care that Liverpool's B team got knocked out of the FA Cup. Had it been the A team out there, then this would have been a real story. The only real disappointment of this match were the player performances. Chiesa, Kwanzaa, Harvey Elliott, Tsimikas, all these guys that are typically on the bench for Liverpool's big matches, this was a really good opportunity to show your value, build a bit of confidence with the boss, and give yourself a better opportunity to be called upon in the future. And the performances fell flat. Nobody stood out as a game changer, and they were overshadowed by an energetic and passionate Argyle. And when you bring in a team that's supposed to win against a team that's supposed to lose, you're just giving Plymouth Argyle the motivation that they needed to get through to the next round. But fair play and credit to Plymouth. They battled, they had some key moments to win the match, and now they have a story that they'll be able to tell their family, their friends, and basically anytime they get a chance. They beat Liverpool in the FA Cup, and that's why the FA Cup is magic, because of these kinds of stories. So enough with the nonsense, let's get into the analysis. The concepts that I want to go over today are Plymouth Argyle's defensive shape, which caused a lot of frustration for Liverpool, Liverpool's lack of movement, which is typically one of their best attributes, and finally, Liverpool's lack of technical quality, making a lot of mistakes and bad passes that their starters would not make. Plymouth Argyle lined up in a 5-2-3, but don't mistake this for a low block or parking the bus. They actually set up in a mid block, allowing Liverpool's center backs to possess, and then would step out with one of the wing backs if the ball got to Liverpool's fullbacks. That means that the front three would stay closer together, and the midfield two would also stay central, making it easy for Liverpool to get the ball to the fullbacks, but not allowing anything central. So anytime that Liverpool would try and find one of those midfielders, Plymouth Argyle were close enough to apply pressure, and there were actually a few times where they intercepted the ball and had the opportunity to counterattack, since they had that front line of three instead of just one player central by himself. However, I'm not going to make it seem like Plymouth Argyle had a really good counterattack. In fact, the few times that they managed to break and try and catch Liverpool off guard, they just didn't have the quality to really create any dangerous opportunities or punish Liverpool. I knew if they were going to win the game, it would have to come from set pieces or big mistakes, or even just hold on to the draw until penalties and take that risk. But the benefit of a back five is it allows you to have enough numbers to defend 1v1s in wide areas, because you can feel safe in sending an extra defender to help and still have four, and it also helps when a team tries the long ball because you'll have enough players to defend it. Regardless of where it falls, there's a higher chance that one of the defenders will get the second ball first. So Liverpool tried a few times but couldn't really seem to create from a more direct approach, and this has happened to Liverpool many times this season, now that teams are trying to cut the space in behind and defend with a lot of numbers. But Liverpool's typical solution wasn't there at all today, and that's their player movement. Slot's Liverpool plays forward based on different triggers, such as their first touch and the positioning of the ball. But if you watch them in any of the matches where they played really well, you'll see players sprinting forward at what seems to be random moments. But these are all calculated movements. In today's match, I saw Liverpool move the ball side to side with a lot of the same triggers that they usually use, but very little movement off the ball to complete the sequence. First touch forward, nobody moving. Then they shifted it to the next player, and same thing, no forward runs. There were a few under and overlapping runs, but there wasn't enough of the movement that we typically see. And so doing doing that against a team playing in a back five is never going to move them enough to create open spaces. And eventually, Liverpool got frustrated enough to start putting in hopeful balls that were easy to defend. And I think it's obvious that when you put a team on the pitch that hasn't played together very often throughout the season, it's clear that you won't have the same level of cohesiveness and chemistry. And if you're Plymouth Argyle, you just need one important moment to change the game. And that came in the 52nd minute when Harvey Elliott gave up a penalty. Absolutely no idea what this man is doing, but there isn't a single valid argument against this. An opportunity for Ryan Hardy, and he puts Plymouth up 1-0. Now that this happens, it creates a slight panic for Liverpool. And the frustration that comes from that panic caused a lot of mistakes that just highlighted Liverpool's lack of technical quality today. I could see that they started to get frustrated, and as the time was winding down, they had to force a lot of play forward. Players like Kwanzaa, Tsimikas, Luis Diaz, and McConnell were making mistakes, which gave away possession, or worse, gave Plymouth Argyle the opportunity to waste more time on the restarts, killing the tempo and the rhythm for Liverpool, which once again created technical mistakes and giveaways because of the frustration. And it felt like a never-ending cycle until the referee blew the final whistle. But through it all, a game like this isn't won without important moments, and you can see how much it meant to Plymouth Argyle every time they defended a Liverpool attack, specifically for my boy Talovierov, who celebrated on more than just one occasion. It's hard to beat a team who has this much passion and were willing to put the work in that it took to keep a clean sheet against Liverpool. A perfect example of this was in the 73rd minute when Matthew Sorinola tracked Luis Diaz's run into the box and put in a crucial tackle to keep the lead. And I think without this specific intervention, Liverpool would have tied the game and then the momentum would have shifted. And even in the dying moments, Hazard made a really good save against Jota, and a few minutes later, it was all over. So what can we take away from all of that? Well, first of all, Liverpool did look flat, and I think Arne Slot chose not to care too much about winning the game, but instead opted to use it as an opportunity for players on the fringe to show their value, which didn't end well, to be honest. But now, he has one less competition to worry about, and I think that's a good thing for Liverpool. Plymouth Argyle played a really passionate game, defended well, and they took their opportunity. They now have an awesome story to remember forever, which also doubles as a true reflection of the magic of the FA Cup. Especially this season where I feel like there hasn't been as many upsets as usual, I think this creates a bit more interest in the next round. So before I let you guys go, just want to thank you for the growth of the channel. We're so close to 1,000 subs, and hopefully we get there shortly after this video is published. Don't forget, we also have channel memberships now open if you want to go and show your support. Go and check those out to get special perks like stickers by your name when you comment and early access to new videos. Finally, please consider subscribing if you appreciated this tactical analysis, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.